Hello. Good morning. Hello, good morning. I am live from, where are we? Saratoga Springs, also known as Saratoga, to the locals around here. And I am going to be talking about plantar fasciitis, Pilates, what to do with feet. I had a great question come through that's really involved. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we have new AirPods. You can hear me. So I'm just waiting for the thumbs up from my lovely husband here. Hello, Shields. Happy Sunday. Shields, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. So anyway, we're talking about plantar fasciitis in the feet in just a moment. But first, I still am on tour. We still have 2/3 of the tour to go. Perfect, Sheila. Thank you, babe. Thank you. We still have 2/3 of the tour to go. OPC.me/tour is where you want to go for information on where we're going to be next. Boston, there's room in the workshops. Cape Cod, there's only a couple spots left in the workshops. Hartford, Connecticut. Then we have Hershey, Pennsylvania, there's a couple spots left. There's holiday break, and then we'll make our way to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. It's our first time teaching there. Then we'll be in DC, couple spots left there. Then Virginia Beach, Charlotte, one spot left. Then we're going to go down to Delray Beach for New Year's Eve. That's in Florida. Then Tampa on New Year's Day. Pensacola sold out. And then we're going to make our way to New Orleans, Houston, Austin, Phoenix. That's our tour. So hopefully see you OPC.me/tour. Okay. So this question specifically was, what exercise do I do with someone who has plantar fasciitis and Pilates? Also, this person's non-weight bearing on their feet. So what should I do? They get nervous when they do lunges and squats. So I have a couple questions and a couple things to think about. So when it comes to the feet, first of all, my loves, especially in the wintertime, especially for those of you who live all of your winter, I'm looking outside, especially those of you who live in all your winter in cold places where you have to wear boots all the time. You're always in shoes. It is so important that you are working your feet. And we got to work it while we can, because injuries will happen. Aches and pains are going to happen. Like, things will happen that are outside of our control when it comes to our bodies, which is why we don't want to take them for granted while we have them. We want to challenge them and strengthen them and stretch them while we do. And so don't wait until something is screaming at you. We had a Be It Pod episode with Dr. Fit about what pain is actually saying to us and what it's suggesting, which is not that you should stop and not do something. It's that it's like, oh, when I'm having pain, it may mean that I'm not taking care of myself in the way that I could be. Okay. So in Pilates, if you have access to a reformer, the exercises like down stretch and knee stretches are incredibly great for preventing plantar fasciitis, because if you do it correctly, you're going to put, there's Brad. Brad, if you put your feet correctly into the shoulder block, you're going to stretch the toes. What I tend to see is most people put their toes straight down and they barely stretch them. You want to give me as best what you got every single time. Like, I will take a moment to disrupt my flow, to sit back on my feet, pull all of my toes. I know, he's so funny. Pull all of my toes, especially the pinky toe, and really stretch them and really work on that. That opening of the foot is going to help prevent plantar fasciitis in the future. Okay. If you don't have access to a reformer, on the mat, thigh stretch on the mat. I always teach it with the toes flat on the mat. But if you never get on a reformer, tuck those toes under and do a few reps with the toes stretched under. That's going to help you get that same stretched feeling. If you don't have access to your equipment right now, you're at an airport, take your shoes up. I know that sounds weird. Take your shoes up, get socks on, stretch your feet. So important. In yoga, they call them like toe stands. It's just really important that you want to be doing that. So if you currently have plantar fasciitis, here is the deal. Gait Happens. We interviewed them on the Be It Pod as well. So you've got 2 podcast episodes I'd like you to listen to on the Be It So You See It podcast. One is with Gait Happens and one is with Dr. Fit. And Gait Happens, she actually specifically talked about the 2 different reasons you could have plantar fasciitis. And it's very fascinating. The reason why many people get plantar fasciitis is because they wear shoes that are not supportive for their feet, shoes that change their gait, and shoes that are actually causing the issue of having plantar fasciitis. So their big thing is that you actually are spending more time walking around your house barefoot if you can. Spend time walking around your grass barefoot if you can. Now, if you're always wearing shoes, it's going to hurt your feet to do that. There's a man that I do Pilates with. We have the same teacher, and he wanted to do Pilates always in his shoes because it's plantar fasciitis. And I told him, that's why you have plantar fasciitis. and he took his shoes off and he's never put them back on again and he hasn't had any pain. So I want to say, like, it can be painful if you always wear shoes or if you have pain in your feet. But provided you don't have injuries, aches, and pains, you do want to be doing barefoot as much as possible. That being said, on Gait Happens, we actually do have an affiliate link. You can take courses with them. You can do a one-on-one session with them, even on Zoom. So I highly recommend that if you're suffering from plantar fasciitis right now. But in Pilates, what I specifically say is just make sure you're doing the feet stretches that exist. Make sure you're using your foot corrector. Make sure you're using your toe corrector. 2x4, excellent. So all of those exercises will be applicable here. And they're going to help strengthen your feet ankle-seat connection. Okay, so, but let's talk about this thing where the client can't be weight bearing and she's scared. So teachers, here's what I'm going to say. People have a lot of fears around a lot of things, right? And we have to be mindful of that. I can't do this workout for them. And unless their doctor tells me, like, they absolutely cannot do that, then it comes to, like, okay, how do I get them comfortable and to feel safe? How do I make sure they understand that, like, if she's doing lunges and squats and provided she's walking into the studio, then she's weight bearing. So I guess my question is, like, how do I show the person who is scared of doing a Pilates exercise how they've already done that exercise in life? For example, I had clients who would come to me and say, well, I'm not allowed to flex or extend my spine. And then I would watch them sit down, round forward to take their shoes off. And I'm like, I just want you to know you just flexed your spine. You just did it, right? You just did it. So it's like, how can we do the movement in a safe way that's not contraindicated? So what I would suggest for all teachers, and I don't know the style of teaching that you do, I don't know what equipment you have access to, but what I did for when I had an injury is sat down in front of each piece of equipment and focus on what I could do. What could I do? So when I had my tibial plateau fracture, I wasn't allowed to weight bear on that leg. Well, on the mat, I could certainly do the 100. I could do the roll up. I could do, keep going. Oh, can't do thigh stretch. Okay. Oh, can't do shoulder bridge, at least on 2 feet, right? Oh, can't do push-ups, at least on that leg. Guess what? I did the shoulder bridge on one leg and I did push-ups on one leg. But I went through that. Then I'm on the reformer. Okay, well, I can't do footwork on 2 legs, but I could do the 100 still, and I could still do coordination. I could still do overhead. I could still do rowing. And so I would say, like, how can we build people's confidences up around the things that they can do, and then equate that to building up their confidence in the things that they have fear around. Fear is a real thing. It's a real thing. There's such a thing called kinesiophobia. Mariska Breland has a workshop on it, applies anytime, and it's all about the fear of movement. And so I like to always ask people, like, what are you afraid is going to happen? Like, what's the fear? Let's talk about it. And let's also talk about what we're going to do if you get scared and you think something bad's going to happen, right? So how are you going to get out of this thing? That's right, Sheila. It's just the same as squatting or using steps to the bathroom. If this person is going to sit themselves down into a toilet, hopefully they're sitting themselves down, not falling down, right? Then they are doing those things. So how do we make it make sense so that we can not to make them feel dumb and not to make them feel like they don't know what they're doing with their body or that their fear isn't real? Of how do we go, okay, here's what you're doing over here, and we're just doing the same thing over here, but lying down. Or we're just doing the same thing over here, but adding a twist, so giving them that permission. So when you know how you can get out of an exercise, it's very easy to kind of take that fear out. And here's the thing about fear, right? Fear can cause tension, and tension is not the same as connection. In fact, tension can cause the injuries. And so when people get injured, not just about Pilates, I'm talking about weight training, yoga, things like that. If you have fear around something and then you tense up, what you're probably fearing to happen will, because you created this energy and focus around it. So we really want to understand what's going on in someone's mindset. But I would start with, if they say they can't weight bear, and provided they didn't walk into the studio, and look at every exercise that is non-weight bearing, go through it. Oh, can do this one, can do this one. You'll realize that there's so many things you can do. And then it's a matter of, like, how often are they coming in? I'll be really honest. A lot of clients expect us to fix them, but they only come once a week, maybe, right? They're like, oh, I'm coming this week, I'm missing next week. You can't do anything once a week and make an impact. You have to do things multiple times a week. So are they doing their homework, right? What are they doing when they're not in the studio with you, right? Because I can't make magic happen in one time a week. Are they coming multiple times a week? Great. Or are they doing the homework multiple times a week? Wonderful. Then we can make an impact here. But the other thing is things take time. You didn't get plantar fasciitis overnight. You didn't get to a place where you can't weight bear overnight. So how much do you want this change to happen? How willing are you dedicated to the homework to it? And then how patient can you be? And if you have plantar fasciitis and we're doing all this stuff in Pilates, we're doing our down stretch, we're doing our knee switches, we're stretching your feet, we're using the foot corrector, and then you go and put them in shoes that are stiff and you walk around those all day long. And then when you're at home, you put your feet in firm slippers that don't, like, do you see what I mean? Then we can't make a change. So please make sure you're stretching your feet. Please make sure you are doing your homework with your feet in and outside the studio multiple times a week. You will prevent the things that you're worried about, and you'll have a better time of getting over, like, if something does happen, getting over that. So I'll just say, like, sometimes people get disappointed. Like, I do Pilates, I do all this stuff, and now I've got this. Yeah, imagine what would happen if you hadn't been doing those things, right? So I find that I recover much quicker from injuries because of my Pilates practice, because of my consistency. Doesn't mean we're immortal or that we are not prone to these things. It just means that we can recover a little quicker, or we can find ways to work around it. And if you find ways to work around it, I promise you're going to be as positive as people like Sheila is and other people who are OPC members, because it's like, okay, yeah, that happened. It sucks. I slipped and I fell, right? So, okay, what can I do to keep my body moving so that I can recover quicker and prevent other injuries from happening? We'll be doing this our whole lives. And that's the other thing about Pilates you have to know. You know, a lot of people think, how many times do I have to do this till it works? Right, but then you have to keep doing it. Because if you stop, it just goes back to what it was. It's like if you study Spanish in high school, but then you don't do it in college, and then you find yourself 10 years out of high school in a Spanish-speaking country, you might remember a few things, but you won't be as fluent as you were, right? Same thing goes with any movement practice. It's not like, okay, nailed it, and I never have to do it again. No, I get to keep doing it. So I feel you if you have plantar fasciitis. I feel you if you feel it coming on. Trust me, we are spending more time in boots than I prefer. So when I'm teaching on these tours, shoes are off. I'm walking around barefoot as much as I can, stretching my feet as much as I can. In the car, spreading the toes, doing different things. Yeah, it's annoying. Trust me, I'd rather be reading a book, but also I'm spending more time in shoes than I normally do. So my body is going to be reacting differently. My back is feeling things differently. So you got to do these different things. I have to do more stretching because of how we're moving around in this on this tour than we're at home. So give yourself those permissions. And the teacher who wrote this question in, I love how interested you are. I love how dedicated you are. You can't want it more than she does. You can't want her to have to be out of pain and out of the injuries and weight bearing more than she does. You can, but if she isn't going to match that, then you will find yourself in a frustrating situation. And I feel you because we want our clients to, like, why don't you want to do this? But also, again, there's so much going around. What's going on with her? There's so much fear in there. There's other things that are built up her life before this. So just keep in mind, like, you can provide the exercises. She has to want to do them, and she has to do them. Right? So be kind to yourself. Make sure she's kind to herself. Keep the conversation going. Do the best you can, and keep doing Pilates multiple times a week. All right, loves. We're on tour, opc.me/tour. I'm going to go teach today's stop. And then our next public stop is in Boston on Tuesday. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you, Sheila. All right, everyone. See you later.